And we are live on Friday, May 16th. Buffdale Campo was in here first. Lars and Unfinished Project, second and third. Frizzell here with his odd arrangement of flags. You notice there's a pattern, right? And of course, you can't see it from the way I'm highlighting it, but if you look at it in browser, you'll see one American flag, two American flag, and then Bobby Frizzell with a bouquet of them. Watching from both channels, Frizzell Racing and Frizzell Outdoors, which I just subbed. That was the 20th sub. If you've not yet checked out Bobby Frizzell's outdoor channel, check it out. Lars puts up the link. We've got Dean Stevenson in the house from the other side of the world, literally. Wrong English is here. Unfinished Projects, and I don't see any aluminum tops on those Jeeps. I guess he's looking for scrap value. No, I don't know of any aluminum tops. I do know that there's a factory steel hardtop option, and a lot of people have fiberglass tops. And most Jeeps all have hard tops that just stay on them all the time now. I think the whole open air Jeep thing is kind of a thing of the past. Mohawk 62 is here. Crystal Kilgore. Dean says non-aluminum top ridges, inconceivable. No, hardly. Used to be, ours was the odd one out for having a factory steel hardtop, and now that's having a hardtop is much more normal than not. My Aunt Nancy is here. Colleen, aka Mama M to the third power. Dean is trying to give my aunt a report that I've been behaving. Thanks, I guess. Colleen is talking about storms. Yes, it's rained a lot here, but it doesn't flood here like it does some places. I know in Middle Tennessee, it floods there all the time. Not here. If it floods here, the rest of the world is in trouble. Indecisive Garage is here. Turbo Tom 416. He says lots of Jeeps. Work on them every day. Yes, modern Jeep would be hard for me to want to own for that very reason. Indecisive Garage missed last week because I was racing. Well, that's an excellent reason to not be here. LSS Drone Photography says, how are y'all? I wanted to stop by and say hi. Yes, he did some drone footage of the Jeep show that was at Lord Botetourt High School last Saturday. It's on his channel. And Unfinished Project and or Lars, if you guys are in here and could pop up a link to that, that was pretty cool. He did some cool drone work, interviewed some people, and that's some cool video. So definitely check it out. And tell us where LSS Drone is on his subscribers. I know he's closing in on his 500. Captain Dew is here. Pure Pontiac Garage, Mater's Workshop. Levi says, hello from the highway, heading back home from North Carolina. What part of North Carolina, sir? Oh, yeah, Unfinished Project said, I sent you one in text local to me. Yeah, I don't know. I've only seen the factory steel. Captain Dew is talking about the new TV show Duster that's on HBO last night. I've heard of it. A lot of people have sent me links to the trailer for it and such. It's got a Duster in it. All I'm wondering is how many did they destroy for the show? It's kind of all I'm wondering. Old McDonald said, any of those tornadoes hit Sykeston? No idea. Not that I've heard anything. Thumper says, I'm here, but I'm covered in welding burns. What in the world did you do, Thumper? Unfinished Project suggests to drink some milk, I guess, for the welding burns. LSS Drone says, I'm 114 away. And to be clear, LSS Drone is not seeking 500 subs so that he can punch his ticket to the No Name Nationals. He's just doing that for the challenge of it with all of us. So I still think that's cool, and he's part of the community. So check out his channel. If he earns your sub, subscribe. He earned mine. He's got cool content over there. So go check it out. Nice guy. Steve of LSS Drone Photography. And he's a legit drone pilot. Every time he was pitted just down from me at the Jeep show, and every time I'd look over there, he was flying a different drone. He was going, between wires and all kinds of stuff. He's good. He's wearing this little headset. I wish I had a picture of him with the headset on, flying that drone. Rockingham. Okay, yeah, that's South B, about 2 hours on 220. Cool place. They grow a lot of peaches there. Thumper says, I'm rebuilding a very rusty Mustang, which would be a lot of them. Bad Tree Blake is here. Howdy, sir. Man, what a crazy past 2 days. Heathens assemble and whatnot. Yeah. Well, glad you didn't wash away in the rain or anything. Glad you're here, man. Colleen says the track is okay, but it hit some houses at the end of the track. No other reports. Hoping everyone is okay. Yeah, they do get some severe weather there. That is for sure. It damaged a billboard that we have there. They get some tough weather, but they are tough people. Captain Dew says to 70 Duster 340, 71 side graphics, 71 base Duster grill, not the shark tooth. Okay. I just hope they didn't waste a bunch of them for the show. That's about it. But then again, it's still cool that people are still featuring these cars in shows like that. Thumper says that Fords are eager to return to their original state as in oxidized iron. Yeah, I can see that. My friend Ben, his trucks, he says the rust just takes them all. He says mechanically you can keep them forever, but the rust just, and they do. The rust loves those trucks. Has an LS in the Duster on the show has an LS in it? For real? If it does, it just went down like 40% cool notches in my book instantly. Maybe 50. To make sure we're clear, Blake, you're talking about the Duster from that TV show, and you're saying it has an LS in it? Brazil says, I started an outdoor channel, and it's rained every day. Good. That gives you more outdoor content. I mean, raining is part of the outdoors, is it not? It doesn't rain inside. Yeah, I want to know. Are we talking about the Duster? So if you've seen this, right, Blake? Tell me, have you actually seen this? Did he pop the hood on the show and it's got an LS in it? Yeah, Hollywood doesn't care. Those cars are just simply a budget item they use up and throw away. I just want to know if they actually have an LS Duster starring in this show. Unfinished Project says rust is inconsequential. All you need is a flat sheet and a little propane torch. Unfinished Project, if you want to pop up the link for that, that is hilarious. Unfinished Project sent me a link today of a guy who, just made half a Ford bed by hand. It was actually really impressive. Guy on the Duster forum said the hero car is Chevy powered. Yeah, okay, that's good enough. Good enough that I'm never going to watch a show now. I know it's terrible, but I can't. I can't. That's too disturbing for me. Captain Dew said, I heard they only used 3 plain Dusters for the show and all survived the stun on dirt road and high speed, small block Mopar like a 318, 340, or 360. Well, now he's saying that. I'll tell you what, I'm taking the forum rumor above that. Now I kind of want to know. Can one of our sleuths find something with a link? That'd be interesting. That's really cool. Yeah, IND, I don't know. I've heard that new show that has a Duster as the hero car is LS powered. Blake is saying he saw that on a forum. I don't know what Captain Deuce talking about. He says it's something like a small block Mopar, but I don't know. He says like the Charger and Fast and Furious had a Chevy. Now, did it have a Chevy in it when they filmed Fast and Furious? Because that same car was in the movie Blade. And I think it was in something after that. So I don't really know. I don't really know. And I also don't remember, because again, it's been 20-ish plus years since I've seen Fast and Furious. Was it even a real blower motor or anything? I don't think it was. I don't remember. I don't remember. Fake blower, yeah. I kind of figured that. Those are too temperamental to really Hollywood to want to use them. In Fast and Furious, it is, I'll give it it's a legit car movie, but I don't know how to explain it. It wasn't marketed to guys who would even know the difference if the blower was real or not. Because it's unbelievable how many people, to me, don't know that the wheel stand wasn't real. I still have people today tell me they think that wheel stand in Fast and Furious the Charger did was real. Well, I mean, that's just preposterous. Just watch it. Everybody knows it was fake, but yeah, same people wouldn't know if the blowers. I just don't remember. I would have known, obviously, from watching it, but I just don't remember. Yeah, Unfinished Project puts up the link. This guy formed a bedside by hand, and you need to watch this. It is extremely impressive. And I was impressed by the way it looked and everything, and it looked good from a distance. I said, okay, this is 20 feet away, 20 miles an hour, good. But when he fitted the tail light, okay, all right. I give him a ton of credit. Twisted Mopar says, no, it wasn't real blower motor. Yeah, I figured it wasn't. I just didn't remember. Junkyard D, howdy. Danny Boyd says Fast and Furious was dumb late 90s culture. Yeah, I mean, maybe, but I'll give the first one credit as a real car movie. It was a real car movie, and I like the first one. I give the first one a lot of credit. They did something different. Now, the sequels were just open the dumpster and dump the sequels in it. I don't care for them at all. But I do think that the first one, I do give it a lot of credit for being a different kind of car movie in a different era. Same way I give, Corvettes credit for being cars, right? Captain Deuce says the sound is not what the sounded like. Well, they dubbed the sound in Dukes of Hazzard. That's nothing new. Rob's Rods and Streetcar stops by. Howdy, Rob. Thank you for being here. We're discussing the bogosity of the Fast and the Furious at the moment. Bad Tree Blake says the 79 Aspen in the movie 16 to Life was a Mopar. It was my first drag car. The movie was filmed in McGregor, Iowa. We watched on Amazon Prime. My name is Greg. That's awesome, Blake. Put up a link to that. Put a link to that up. I'll definitely watch that. That is great. Yeah, pop the link up for that. It was still Reiser. Yes, it was, but it was still a Reiser's car movie. Thing is that a lot of these Reiser guys are real car people. They actually do build stuff. They craft stuff. They go to junkyards. They get parts. They make stuff fast. They're legit. They just like a different kind of car. And like everything else, some of them aren't real car people. Some of them are just into the wings and the nonsense and all that, and aren't even real car people. And you'll see that at every car show. I mean, this Jeep show was interesting. There were people there that can't change oil, and there were people there who build Jeeps and everything in between. Reiser community is no different. Mohawk asks, was that the same Charger they used in The Man from Toronto? I don't know. It is the same Charger from the movie Blade with Wesley Snipes. I believe that movie was before. I don't know. I think it was before Fast and Furious, but I'm not sure. Rob's Rods of Streetcar says, I loved all the cars, but very far-fetched as far as car performance. Well, I mean, yeah, all of that. So Fast and Furious, watching it to me as a movie about cars and performance and racing and stuff is exactly like watching the Clint Eastwood Dirty Harry stuff as a firearms trainer, match shooter, etc. It's the same thing. Okay, so if I watch Dirty Harry and you can see Clint Eastwood literally lifting that revolver and everything. That's not what recoil looks like at all. And the whole thing. So if you want to get technical about it, I can just dissect those movies for how bogus they are. But that doesn't keep me from enjoying them at all. I think they're great movies. I like all of them. I like all five. Fast and Furious is the same way. If you're watching that because you want it to be technically correct and all of that stuff, no, you will not enjoy it. It'll just drive you crazy. But if you can put that out of your mind and say, okay, the people who made this film, yes, they made a quarter-mile drag racing sequence that if you're watching the movie was like 3 miles long, right? And all that stuff and the technical weirdness and all of that and the speeds relative to what you see to what they would have really been, all that stuff. Again, if you don't care about any of that and just say the guy just wanted to make a cool movie about cars doing stuff, then yeah, you can enjoy it. And I liked it, even though I know it wasn't meant to be technically correct. But I do really appreciate, like when people get guns right in movies, when they get stuff with cars right in movies. And when they go out of their way to get true experts to make the stuff accurate, I appreciate that, because I think both cars and guns are so cool that people don't need to embellish them. You can do really, really cool stuff and get it right. But it doesn't bother me if the person making the movie didn't. Unfinished Project says the Fast and Furious Charger was a boat motor placed in the car backwards. The scoop was facing forward. 2x4 held the motor. I have a DVD where they show. Yeah, but when they did the wheel stand, they did it with cables. They raised the car with cables so that they could raise it and it would smoke tires in place and all that. It was not a real wheel stand, which is a shame, because especially if they did some kind of rear engine thing, you know, you could have done a crazy good wheel stand with that. Captain Dew says the car that did Viper on the Viper show was a 360 LA engine. That probably was a good call. It would have been less temperamental to try to film with. Frizzell says my Galaxy was in a low-budget horror movie, if that counts. Oh, yeah, that's really cool. Bobby, I know you correspond with colleagues. Send her the link to that. She can put it in there. I would love to see that. And if any of you guys have any of your cars or something in media, yeah, let me know. We want to put this in here. I think that's really cool. Unfinished Project, enjoy Fast and Furious. There you go. If he enjoyed it, it's a good movie. LED windshield washer jets. Yeah, I won't tell you what I think of that. Although I do think it's kind of cool when they have an LED on their nitrous purge. I think that's kind of cool. You see it at night. Thumper says, thankfully I saw Fast and Furious for free while deployed to Kuwait in 2001. I laughed the whole movie. Okay. And he checked out the bedside short. I'm getting better. That's much better than my current skill. Well, that's better than about everybody's. That guy's really good. You can tell he does that every day. Cool. So Blake, is that a link right there? Or is that just a link to your credit? Either way, that's cool. But we'll see the movie. Brazil says, any movie you have to watch for entertainment, not accuracy. If it was accurate, it wouldn't be entertaining. You can make an accurate movie that's entertaining, you can, but I don't want a director constrained by that. I want them to do their thing, right? So like, is the gunplay in Pulp Fiction entirely accurate? No, not at all. But hey, Quentin Tarantino needs to do his thing. His movies are cool, and you watch it for entertainment, and that's just the way it is. Junkyard D refuses to accept Dean's international mathematical computations. That's probably a good idea. Blake says Jeremy is in the movie as a gay biker. Also, I forgot about that. Well, now, you know, if we didn't have enough reason to watch the movie, now we have to see it for that. Was he playing a part, or was he just was he an extra as a gay biker, just as himself? That's a good question, right? Upper says, movies I pick apart while watching: military, cars, computers, aviation, space flight, and anything showing feminism in a good light. Have at it, man. And D reminds us about the Fast and Furious movie from the 50s isn't too bad. Yes, that is true. It's not the first movie named that. Unfinished Project puts up the link to LSS's video. This is one of his videos from the Jeep show, so check it out. Just Mopar Joe is in here. Says, all right, Mopar people. Rob's Draws a Streetcar says, do it, Dean. I enjoy being the weird one. You're not the weird one in here. Just Mopar Joe says, isn't Duster supposed to be the new hit? Well, you know what, Joe? Before you were in here, there was conversation about Duster, and I heard, according to Bad Tree Blake, and according, I think, somebody else, that the Duster Hero car has an LS in it. So, sorry to break that horrible news to you, but that's what I heard. And Unfinished Project lets us know that LSS Drone is at 386 subscribers. So, just a reminder, he's not in the quest to get his 500 subscribers to attend the No Name Nationals as a participant, but he wants to do it out of solidarity with us. So he's working hard, and he's come a long way. He's at 386. He's 114 away. If you've not yet checked out his channel, check him out and see if he earns your sub. I say the same thing with everybody else. And Battery Blake says, Evil Mopar Joe. That seems stray. He was an extra, but gay biker nonetheless. Cool. So that's like, what, a Tuesday? Nah, they missed out. They should have had Jeremy, like, casting that thing. Jeremy, I don't know. If you want to cast Jeremy in a movie, what would you want to cast him as? What character would he be just perfect for? I don't know. He's definitely a character you want. You just have to figure out what he'd be perfect for. What would he be just perfect for, Blake? Thumper says, let's see the guy make a quarter panel for a 69 Charger 70 GTO. I'll tell you what, I bet he could do a pretty good job. I bet he could. Give him a super chat. 13 bucks ought to pay for it the way that guy works. Slant Daily Garage is here. Hello, Professor P. Dust Devil Brian. Brazil Racing says the movie was called Anderson County Horror Story. One of those movies that tell a bunch of different stories. My car was in the section called Hell Road. It's a terrible movie. Well, that's okay, though, because terrible movies, you know, where you find this kind of cool stuff. Captain Dew says Joe Don Baker passed away. The news was yesterday and he'd been dead last. Well, I didn't know. He's a great actor. I always enjoyed his stuff. He starred in the Walking Tall movie from 1974. He was in The Distinguished Gentleman. He was in Cape Fear. Good actor. I always liked that guy. He was up in his 80s. LSS Drone says, thank you. Well, you're welcome. We appreciate you. Unfinished Project put up the link. So if you want to see Blake's car, and I think he said Jeremy is an extra as a gay biker, 16 to Life full movie is right here. Well, the obvious is Stoner Hippie. Yeah, I agree, Stoner Hippie, but doing what? Playing what part in the movie? Stoner Hippie what? Stoner Hippie business owner? Stoner Hippie I could see him. He was Stoner Hippie in that movie Nightmare on Ann Street, which I liked. I know it's kind of different and abstract for a lot of our audience, but I thought it was cool. Danny Boyd says, I could be a combination of Rain Man, Forrest Gump, and Joe Dirt. Okay. Jeremy, the Mississippi River Pirate. Now, you know, now that you say that, Mohawk, that would be really good. Jeremy playing the part of a pirate would be excellent. He would be a really entertaining pirate. Cutter Down Garage 303 says, I went to see how high the tide was this morning because of Hurricane Sandy on a dead-end street. News van found me and my dog and captioned it, if you don't have one of these, stay inside. Don't have one of these? A dog? What? Have one of these what? Passion of the Chrysler? That sounds so weird. Joe Don Baker was cast by the real Sheriff Buster. I could see that. The only arrest, my dad in the late 60s for speeding. Okay. Well, he was tall. I mean, the real Buford Buster, I think, was about 6'6". And Joe Don Baker was 6'4". He's a big, imposing dude. Even though he usually plays pretty friendly characters. Just Mopar Joe says, Blake stars in a movie to travel the banks of the Mississippi River in the Nacho Cuda from every quick trip to Casey's. That sounds completely accurate. Brazil says, a movie that's not great, but I absolutely love, Dazed and Confused. Feel free to judge me now. Had great cars in it. Oh, yeah, there's lots of movies that have great cars and have no other redeeming qualities. But it was cool. Dazed and Confused is where I think the Beavis and Butthead Duster came from. That primer Duster of Todd's was exactly like that one. Oh, Cutter Down Garage is lifted 4x4 Camaro with 44-inch tires. Yeah. Unfinished Project says, I'm down for being in a movie just a text away. Sixth Street Garage says, I thought it was off tonight. I was watching No Country for Old Men. I thought it was off tonight. I was watching No Country for Old Men. What was off tonight? So Unfinished Project wants to be in a movie. I was in a documentary, and I was in another documentary, and then another one that never came to fruition, but none of them have anything to do with cars. Several Cars Inside Our House rules are from one of our car clubs. I got to help get some of them running to get them in the movie. That's cool. Connor is here. Howdy, sir. Joe says, Levi was an extra in Kindergarten Cop. Had an LS on his big wheel. What do you think, Levi? You going to make Joe eat all? You going to save all this and make Joe eat it come September? Captain Deuce's Batman, Batfleck, drive the Duster. I don't even understand what that comment means, Captain Deuce. I don't even. What does any of that mean? Danny Boyd says, I got a ticket from a 21-year-old officer who became chief of his dying town shortly after. Shortly after that, he got busted for trying to hook up with a 14-year-old on a department computer. Oh, my goodness. Unfinished Project, rewatched Talladega Nights last night. Wished I hadn't. My memory of it is so much better. Yeah, I've never seen that movie. Live stream. Why would we be off? We're live every Friday. Excuse me. Connor says, I filled in for maintenance at a different facility that my company owns. It's a 6-story building built in 1914. It is mostly original. Going up and down the stairs for 6 floors suck. Yeah, I can see that. Cutter Down Garage says, I want to write a script. A team meets Sandlot. Okay. Dazed and Confused should be a remake. Got my internet buffer there for a minute. Of course, the day that I'm there, we blow a water line on the 4th floor on a pipe completely encased in concrete and spent 4 hours jackhammering the concrete to find good pipe to patch it. Oh, what a mess. Levi says, my big wheel is still faster than that purple Mopar. Oh, boy. Is that when you drop it out of the plane and deploy the chute? Just asking. Indecisive Garage says, never mind the movie, but did an Optima tax relief commercial, which has aired over 7 years. Oh, we got to have the link for that. We got to have the link for that. Tim, can you send me that? That is cool. Thomas Scott, welcome. I'm a guy who owned a 73 Charger. I couldn't save it. No skills, tools, or space. Well, yeah, you got to have those things. But cool. Welcome. Glad you're here. Danny Boy says he'd replumb that whole thing if feasible. I get that. Joe tells Levi he heard it had some wiring issues. Connor says, fun fact, I used to work on short films with a buddy of mine who has a film company, so I have an IMDb page. If you know my full name, you can look it up. Oh, I'll definitely look that up. That's cool. Thomas says, tragic. Now I have 2 70s era 440 engines and nothing to put them in. Well, what are you looking for, Thomas? What are you wanting to do? This is the community. This community is all about your quandary. Danny Boyd went to high school with the guy in the Doritos commercial 15 years ago who threw the snow globe through the front vending machine in the office. Okay. Captain Do. Anyone miss old TV commercials? Well, they're much better than the commercials today. I can tell you that. I mean, commercials back at one time used to be about products and selling them. And now I think they're about virtue signaling and nonsense. The one-eyed cat, howdy. Been kind of laying low. Connor says part of the problem is that when the building was originally built, they had just had a bunch of fires in town. So the whole gimmick was it's completely fireproof because it's brick and concrete. Well, it's not floodproof. Agenda propaganda. Oh, it's bad. It is so bad with TV commercials now. Thomas needs to talk to Big Mike. I heard a rumor there may be something cool happening. Well, there you go. There you go, Thomas. Look up Big Mike's Hoopty Barn here on YouTube. Cutter Down Garage sat next to little Susie in high school calculus. She was always nice to me. Thomas is a Maryland friend of mine. Well, cool. There you go. Well, Colleen can definitely help you with your 440 problem, I'm sure. I'm going to try to do something sophisticated for me. Instead of doing my usual zooming in on the screen thing right there, I'm going to use my pictures. I'm going to show you some pictures from the Jeep show. Bigfoot Mark asked, was there a fast purple barracuda at any of the No Name Nationals? Yes, there was. Yeah, especially Joe pulling his card out from his sleeve a couple of times there. Was there anything from Camp Bigfoots and Mopars at the last No Name Nationals? Yeah, got any pictures of Jeep? Okay, we'll show you some pictures from the Jeep show. All right. I have these actually queued up here. I'm going to show you ones of getting there, and then I got more from the, but I can only put so many at a time in the queue, which really annoys me. StreamYard won't let you do it, but this is better than zooming in, so I'm going to try this. Oh, wow. Okay, it's working. So I had Jethro in a crate in the back because that vehicle's really bad for him to be loose in for a number of reasons. Like it's got rust on the inside and all these fasteners sticking in there and no upholstery, and it's just a really bad vehicle to let him free range in. So he's riding in the crate, and he was fine in the crate on his blanket until I started it up and went down the road, and it was loud, and he had a fit. That's what he did to the corner of the crate. That was his rebellion right there. He's like, I'm coming out of this thing. So, yeah, I straightened the crate out, took little man out of there. He had to go to the house. He could not handle that whole riding in the crate in the Jeep. He's ridden in the crate in the car just fine, rarely, but he could not do that with the Jeep. No, it is not a male Jeep. It is not a male Jeep. And the Jeep show, most people knew the difference, but I said, I'm just going to count how many times somebody asked me if it's a DJ and not a CJ. It's a CJ with a factory steel hardtop. A DJ has a steel hardtop too, but that's a dispatcher Jeep, and they're two-wheel drive, and they use them by the Postal Service. It's a shore patrol vehicle. That's why it's so rusty. It's a girl Jeep. That's not a girl Jeep. That's actually a CJ, four-wheel drive. You're thinking like, the girl Jeep is like the Compass or something, and those are there too. But anyway, he just, yeah, he was like not having it at all. So he had to go home. But I'm rode the whole way there with the brake light on, which couldn't care less about that. It has front brakes, which, works, right? You got what, 70% of your brakes? That passes the test with a C, right? Dan, the IT guy, says, hey, y'all, hope everyone is safe-ish. Yep, howdy. Howdy, J-Bo. So we filmed the drive down, and you can see the live stream of the drive down. That was fun. That was did 6 miles on I-81. At Ginger here filming. You can see the barrier wall back here. Made it there in one piece. There was smoke pouring into the Jeep on the interstate because it was puking out the breather after about 5 miles of that. So I got off at Hollins, but it let me go around Roanoke. And I was running behind because I had to take Jethro back. This is part of the lineup over there. And you see they had everything mixed together. So they had little low to the ground Wranglers. They had that 77 CJ won best of show there, that red one. That was a really cool Jeep. And this was pitted next to me. This is a 73 CJ. And that dude, as soon as I rolled in, he remembered seeing my dad riding around in Blacksburg in the Jeep. So he was really excited. He said he hadn't seen that Jeep in many, many, many years. He was really excited. So if you watch the stream, we're filming, and he walks up and is talking about me right at the end of the stream, and I had to shut it down. And then the Jeep guys all do this kind of stuff right here. This was everywhere. And then this was the oldest vehicle there. It was a 57 truck. It was really cool too. The 77 and this and a dude with a Wrangler, the Red Rum Wrangler, were the three on my judging thing. I went to high school with Ginger. She went with me to the Jeep show. It was a lot of fun. Repping for the No Name Nationals at the Jeep show. Battery Blake says the wind broke 2 docks apart and spin all day in the wind and 5-foot rollers, training to Band-Aid everything back together. Wendy wants a forest green Jeep. Cool. I love forest green. I think that's a great color. So now it's going to make me, this is what StreamYard does. It makes me remove all the stuff that's there so that I can load more. I had to do this when I had Wrong Ward on here. The difference is when I had Wrong Ward, I could do it. I could multitask pretty good, but I can't, So let me get y'all some more here. I'll queue up some more. There's a lot of stuff like this. A lot of stuff like that. The Autism Speaks Jeep over there. Where's the duck guy? See, I wish I could just queue them all up. I don't know why I can't, but it won't let me. Yeah, I don't even have all the pictures here, but. And there was a swap meet there too. There's not a scratch on that bar, so that bar is for looks. Where is that? Best of show that won. This right here was the best of show. Nice, clean 77 CJ. Had the Grateful Dead logo on it. He has that ammo can, and it's padlocked to the Jeep and has a padlock on the can. Seems like an awful lot of work for a lockable box, but I guess it goes with the theme of the Jeep. I don't know if I had that one, but yeah, people really liked the stickers that were on the inside. I got the presidential speed directive. That would have been Carter. Got the accident report thing that just says not to admit responsibility or place blame. Yeah, those floor plans are interesting. Let's see. This would be so much easier if I could do it with all the icons already loaded up full size. Yeah, it was really popular. A lot of people liked it because it was just different. It was the third oldest Jeep there. People were glad to see it there. It is different. It was a whole different kind of, whole different culture with that one than around the one in Dublin. The one in Dublin was all late model Jeeps. It was very much a social thing with the late model Jeep people. This one was different. This was more people who build Jeeps and such and do stuff with them. But the Dublin show was bigger. This was his first show, and I thought it was kind of funny. The promoter, super nice guy, he comes over near the end of the show, and he says, "Oh man, I'm exhausted. First time I put this on. There's like 50 Jeeps there at a show, right?" I'm like, "Well, I get it." But he's telling me that. I'm like, "You have no idea, man." Anyway, oh, the ducks. Oh yeah, I can find a picture of the ducks. So there's a video. I got interviewed by a couple of channels. One of them I saw, and I think is part of what LSS did. And another one I can't even find. But I got interviewed even about the ducks. I'm like, well, I don't know what they're for. You're asking me, but I don't know. I don't even know where the picture is. But the duck thing is weird. It's a Jeep thing, and I don't really know. Yeah, LSS Drone says we got to get John more ducks. I got a Jeep Compass. I don't think it qualifies for ducks. Well, I don't know. There was a couple of compasses there that this guy here won best of show, and deservedly so. Had a nice Jeep. Yeah, I wish I could find the one picture. I'll just get it on my phone. You guys need to see like Mr. Duck. I gotta find that one because that one was crazy. That guy. There was one guy there that it had the craziest spread of ducks ever. Everybody liked this too. This is what's left of the stenciling on the hood of Dad's Jeep. It's not much. And I'm thinking of kind of saving it and recreating it because I may want to put it back. There was a guy there that knew all about that stenciling, though, too. He said when they went from paint to vinyl and when they went from gray to white, he knew all about it. And it actually made perfect sense because the Jeep is an 80, surplused in 93, and it was in the mid-80s when the Navy went from gray to white for shore patrol. So all that made a lot of sense. He seemed to know a lot about him. Here we go. This guy right here is... guy right here. I don't know why this wasn't queued up in my picture, but... And his license plate says, "Don't hate." You got to love it. A guy who solicits that much hate and then has a license plate that says, "Don't hate." So there we go. Daisy Duke had a fine Jeep, indeed. Yeah, I don't necessarily understand the whole duck thing. Unfinished Project said it started in 2020 with a viral video, according to maybe. I had a client that had a bunch of ducks on the dashboard of her Jeep. Battery Blake says, "I have one duck on the 18-second drag compass." There you go. There was one guy there who had a Jeep and it said, "Ducks are stupid. Save your money for beer." Now, that would have been Blake's pick for best of show, I'm sure. There's Rust Before Holes. Looks like the Mayberry 61 Ford wagon will be at No Name Nationals. I got my 500. Where did those subs come from, Rust Before Holes? Because he did. He got the 560 just about overnight. Battery Blake says, "I hate it for some reason." The duck thing is kind of weird. It's a Jeep thing. But I'll tell you, I got one duck from the Dublin show. And then I got 6 of them at this other show. But only one of them while I was there. The other 5 just kept appearing on the front bumper. I'd walk around, and every time I come back, there'd be a couple more ducks there. So I got 6 of them there. I got 7 ducks altogether now. Dad would have really loved the duck thing, but he also would never have taken the Jeep to a show. So yeah, how about that, Rust Before Holes? Yeah, so he is the newest alumnus of the No Name 500. And I'm just curious by what method we got our subs. There's different ways to do it. Bad Tree Blake says, lady on the Jeep forum had cancer and started the duck thing, I believe. It's a good heartfelt gesture. Okay, yeah, I never had any idea where it came from or what the origins of it were. I just know they all do it. It's a Jeep thing for sure, and it's unique. I give it that. I don't know if I have a good picture of the duck thing or not. That video from LSS, actually, no, LSS Drones. I'm going to give you a link. Unfinished project. Did I ever send you the video of the Jeep show from Elite Prints? Yes, I did. This one. I'm going to resend it to you. If you can put this one up, I think I'm going to try to just make sure it's the right link. Yeah, this talks about the Jeep. There's another one asking me about the ducks, but I don't know anything about the ducks. I told you I don't know anything about the ducks. He worked harder pushing to get subs than I do at my regular job. I didn't meet a stranger. I ask everyone to subscribe. Yeah, but they went up really fast at one time. So did you like find a, did you just go into a place with, 1,000 people in there or something? That's pretty wild. LSS asks, any advice for adjusting torsion bars on an M body? There's a lot of people here who can give you good advice on that. I would just say do it on a level concrete floor, jounce and rebound the suspension for a couple of times before you decide the height is right. But I mean, there's not much to it. Do not do it with an impact gun. You will mess up your adjuster if you do that. I mean, it's not much to it. About as simple as it gets. I think it's a 3/4 inch socket, if memory serves. He wants to bring the front down to give me a little bit of stance. Well, you can do it that way. Ideally, the rocker panels should be about level. Did they misspell my name, Wilburn, with 2 L's? Rusty Four Holes got his carb hat, his carb buddy from Lunar Outlaw Garage. And Dizzy does not have his yet because the last thing I did on my old Toshiba before it absolutely crashed was my big master file of labels for Christmas cards. So last thing I did, and it crashed, and I recovered the drive, but I can't find his address. So I have it somewhere. I'm going to dig it out, so I'll get it. Joe suggests that once you adjust your ride height, get the alignment done. The height is going to change a few things. It's going to change, obviously, your caster. It's also, because you're moving the arms to do it, it's going to change your total toe, too, and your bump steer is going to change. Bad Tree Blake says subs will come. Post. Do as I say, not as I do. Bad Tree Blake's got a lot of credibility in this. He's built a great channel. As has to have a lot of folks here, including our friend Just Mopar Joe. But right on, Rusty Four Holes. Warfare. That's a good way to do it. Should have had a video of you asking all those people for subs. We had Dizzy Izzy and Damien from Mopar's Mustangs and Minivans panhandling at the gate at the first No Name Nationals at the first No Name Nationals to get subs. So that was interesting, and that's okay. You can do that. What I would tell people who are any semblance of close to do that on game day, it's fun. I can't think of any better place to get subs than Thursday at the No Name Nationals. So, but that said, I wouldn't make that part of the plan. I would make my plan to get 500 well in advance. Captain Dew's rolling out. Thanks for coming by. There's a truck like that, one of those Shelby Dakotas that runs around town. There aren't that many left. Fab Race Mod repeats his bad tree 100%. Post, then post some more. Yeah, that will do it. LSS Drone, Lovejoy says, I have 2 hours of footage I'm working through from when Junkyard D and 38 Racing was at my place this weekend. Cool. For Zell, who also has a channel over 10,000 subscribers that he's done in the last year, subs will come. It starts out slow, but as people find you, they will come. If you keep putting out the content, yes. So just listen to the people who know. But Rusty Four Holes has got his 500. He's punched his ticket to the 4th annual AHRA No Name Nationals. So he is in. Kind of like fiberglass bumpers, Unfinished Project says. Are you able to share any changes with the event this year? Well, there will always be changes. Nothing huge. No huge changes this year. I wouldn't say anything earth-shaking. I know one change I'd like to see is I'd like to see a 2-time winner in the bracket. We have yet to see that. I know there's stuff in the wings. Oh, yeah. Or be a fake puke and panhandle seems to also work. Let me tell you, there's people who do that. Thing is, though, is when people don't want to get the subs by asking people to sub, making content, and that kind of thing, they miss out on the experience with the community. And that is part of the thing of getting your subs. What I tell people is, if we'd had a No Name Nationals in 2019, that class would have been me, Blake, Just Mopar Joe, Andy Wood. See, you'd have had that class, right? Because all of us had fewer than 500 subs then. Connor says, I'm coming for that bracket win this year. Shots called, Joe. Tell you who could be a dark horse to win this bracket that some people don't know is old Blake here. Blake is an accomplished bracket racer. So he could sneak up on some people with his bracket. It could happen. He's a talented guy. Here's another guy, too, that might surprise a lot of people. Indecisive Garage is a guy who could surprise a lot of people. It's kind of interesting because a lot of things we get, yeah, and T doesn't plan on making it easy for anyone. Yeah, old T comes to life there when I said that. He might be our first 2-time bracket champ. Never know. We'll see. But a lot of people get judged only for what they've done on YouTube, however long they've been on YouTube, and don't realize, we've all got lives that are way before YouTube. Well, maybe not Levi and Dakota because they were literally born in the YouTube age. But for the rest of us, we've all got stuff we did well before YouTube. T is bringing a secret weapon. Cool. I like it. I'm glad T is coming back. Now, we got a lot of depth in the field in that bracket, so I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a competitive bracket again this year. Now, we've only got 124 days and 3 hours and 4 minutes to go. LSS says, last year was my first ever time on the track. I'm hoping to do better this year in all seriousness. I doubt I'll win the bracket, but it'll be fun to compete. Right on, man. Does this mean that T is bringing a B-body? No, he wants to win, Mark. Are you bringing a B-body? Blake says, I like to lose around the quarterfinals. It's my sweet spot. Then I can drink with the other losers and watch Joe red light and roast him. That's a very Blake thing to say, but you just never know. Blake is a good racer. T says, my B-body is not quite in race shape. He says, I fall into the Levi category there. I'm pretty young as well. My YouTube account is almost as old as Levi. Junkyard D says, I'll be going for the repeat bracket champ in 2026. I like that. You're a bit deaf, aren't you? No, I'm not the guy working at the gas station, flipping a coin for my life. No. Danny Boyd says, there's no reason the B-body can't win, which can't be overcome. A dump truck can win the bracket, Danny Boyd. I mean, T says, shots fired. I'm telling you what, y'all bring it. It's going to be a great bracket. The bracket just, that competition goes up and up. Tell me in the comments, who do you guys think, if you had to pick a final for the bracket in 2025, so name your final. You don't have to say who you think will win, but who's going to be the final pair in the 2025 bracket of the No Name Nationals? I kind of want to see what the chat thinks. Connor was born after the year 2000. What is after the year 2000? What does that mean? What year? Dan, the IT guy, says, I'm working toward No Name Nationals in 2027. Once we have a house and a car to play with. Why that? Come on in 2025. Come grab you a cheap flight. Fly out and have fun. You will have just as much fun as a spectator than as a participant. Bigfoots and Mopars asks, is there going to be a street car class? Cletus has already said that if you can beat him in a street legal car, you're going to, the first person to do that's going to win his grill that he wears. So 2002 specifically. There we go. 2002. I was in automotive tech school at New River Community College in 2002. Turbo Tom is saying Joe and T, as does T himself. Bad Tree says, I send the Canadians packing. It's my tradition. Right on. So we're here in a Joe and T. What are the final nights you guys envision for the bracket? That's not a bad guess. I don't think anybody complained to see that. To see the first and second year champs running against each other for the first one to double up. Cletus and Joe for the bracket? You talking about Cletus and Joe for the bracket? Oh, my goodness. Joe, if you win that grill, I want to see you wearing it. Here we go. Here's a final that will never happen in 1,000 years. Cope and Kim final in the bracket. There you go. Bigfoots and Mopar says, my buddy Andy went rounds in the bracket race with a Toyota minivan. Yeah, I'll tell you what. I saw a Festiva go deep rounds in a huge bracket at Bristol once. And that car was something like a 22nd quarter mile. And he was running people running 8s and 9s. And a lot of them red lighted. They just couldn't They could not wait. It just looked like the car was at the finish line to them before they ever got a tree come down, but it was wild. That Junkyard D, Casper in the final, Andy Wood, that's not bad. You don't need to bring a car to have fun to No Name Nationals, but it would be more fun if you did. Well, Scott's flown in every year. MM78 and Travis. Yeah, that's extremely unlikely. Indecisive Garage is going to say it's a little black Ford F-150 and Mopar Joe in the final. I can see that too. I can see that. Joe'd have his hands full. Jed versus Brian in the final. Yeah, I'm not putting any odds on that. Be wild if it happened. Do you imagine what that ladder would look like? All of the upsets that would have to happen. But if it happens, I'm happy to see it. I want to be on the top end to shake the hand to whoever wins the bracket. I always do. Connor says, my biggest factor that screws me up on bracket racing is my reaction time varies so badly. You think? Yeah. That's what gets everybody who's not a good bracket racer. I need more tree time. I'm not a good bracket racer. I fully admit that. Dan wants to be at No Name Nationals this year, just won't have a car yet. Right on. You'll have a blast. You'll have a blast. You will have a blast. A lot of people come one year as a spectator, and they are hooked and committed to bringing their hardware the next year. Joe says, I'm really good at splitting the money at the final. Yeah, Joe's definitely statistically the overdog for the final, but I just want to see everybody be sportsmanlike, be safe. Let's have a good bracket and congratulate whoever earns that win. No, Joe does. He's a sportsman like that. I know a couple of times he's offered to split the purse before it's run. And he's 1-1 on finals. First year final with a 318 wheel run. Third year final with Little Possum. Finals is a win. Yeah, I'll tell you what. You don't get to the finals on a fluke. Bobby says Galaxy will be there this year and 100% street legal. Well, now, this thing with Cletus now, you got to take it up with him. I don't know what his criteria is. I told him, I said, just tell us what you're looking for. We can try to help you with it. But that's what he says. He says first street legal car is going to beat him, is going to win that grill. And I have no idea what he's planning on bringing. Bad Tree Blake says, if you agree to split, then you're second guessing yourself. Always take the bigger payout. Go for the kill. So, Bad Tree Blake does not do what Joe does. He wants the full complement of beer money for winning the final. Yeah, we're talking about our Cletus. Stuff with Cletus. He has, I got to find his picture. He's got this grill that he wears. And he says, whomever is the first to beat him in a street legal car will win his grill. But again, you can't take my word for the particulars because this is his race. So whatever criteria he comes up with it. But anyway, who beats him? This is what he's offering to win right here. That grill he's wearing. I'm sure there are a lot of grill wearers in the chat. Well, you can invite him. I mean, he's welcome to pay his registration fee. He has the subs, and Cletus McFarland can show up. Same as all of you guys. Fab Race Modern Repeat says, ladies and gents, beware the curse of the split if you don't. Big Puts and Mopar says, my biggest problem with bracket racing is the bracket racing. Well, that makes a lot of sense. Crystal Kilgore still lurking in here. Greeting Rabid Transit Garage. Welcome, Jay. Wrong English is figuring out dinner. Bad Tree Blake asks, what's he racing? I have no idea. He won't say. I don't know what Cletus is bringing. Well, you know, I mean, it's one of these things. Anybody can come out to it. Crystal Kilgore is got dinner going on. Greeked pork chops and potatoes. Yeah, it does sound good, actually. I had homemade chili. My aunt made chili yesterday. Chili and chocolate pie. Unfinished Project puts up a link. This is Cletus's official call-out video right here with the grill, so you can watch it and find out what that's all about. Just something he wants to do at the 4th annual No Name Nationals. Chocolate pie, oh my, that reminds me of the horse from The Sopranos. Been working my way through the box set of that. It's a good show. Danny Boyd says, I had chili 2 days ago over spaghetti and with Parmesan instead of cheddar. That actually sounds really good. Joe says, if I win or get second in the bracket race, I'll donate the winnings to Levi's school lunch fund. That sounds great, Joe. That sounds awesome. If I win or get second, I'll donate the winnings to Levi's school lunch fund. Yes. No child left behind. Yeah, those storms everywhere put a damper on the night. All we had here was rain. LS's Drones checking out. He had a great time at the Jeep event. And yeah, he says, don't hesitate to call everyone. Had a great night. Appreciate everybody. Yeah, it was cool. It was fun having him out there. He and the Prince. He and the Prince there. They were doing their drone thing and got some good video there. By the way, Steve has a contest, and I need that link. I'm going to share the link. He's in a contest to win. Steve, tell him real quick about that. To win that. Yeah, give him a little pitch about that because he deserves to win. He's made a video. I'm going to put the link up in the comments. I'm going to do that now. I don't know if our mods have it or not. I think this is the WSLS post. Yes. So I'm going to put this link up right now. And bear with me. I'm going to put up a link. He's going to tell you about this contest, and I'm going to put up the link to it. He's trying to win a content creator contest on Channel 10. That's our local NBC affiliate. I've got about 7 videos up there right now. I'm going to send you a link to one of them right here. Let's see if I can do this. So go check it out. You can go there to check it out and support Steve. He is working hard, doing a good job with it, and so I want to see him win. Mean Street Mopar is in the house. Howdy, sir. Thanks for coming by. He says Channel 10 in Roanoke uses a lot of my stuff. Yeah, he got a lot of great drone work, but he wants to win that contest. He's working hard on it. Blue Grit Garage says, the more I look, the more work I find on Anna's 67 Mustang. She's doing a good job of helping me thin out my spare parts shelves. See you at the No Name Nationals. Cool. WSLS has been using his natural bridge footage a lot. That's cool. Big Pits of No Parts says, I called out all 671 blower cars. No responses. You know, be careful. Somebody will come fill your order. How's your car coming? So yeah, you can go there. That's one of the videos I think he did at the Jeep show. He's got 7, but he's in a contest to win, and I am wishing him well in that. SSR Performance, aka Big James, is here. Also, a friendly reminder, if you've not yet registered for the No Name Nationals, you can do so at nonamenationals.com. And don't forget, once you register, you are then eligible for the Edelbrock Incentives discount, 10 to 15% off everything at edelbrock.com. Everything. That is a lot of money. That is significant money savings. It could easily more than pay for your entry into the No Name Nationals. So do remember, NoNameNationals.com. When you register, you do get the Edelbrock incentives, in addition to helping the event know and project its cost and coffers ahead of the event, which is very helpful to us. And if your car doesn't make it there, don't forget, it's still inclusive of a spectator pass for you. Yeah, I hate to ask, but any update to access on the scratch and did honors? That is a great question to ask on Wednesday of Professor P, or you can email Alex So at Edelbrock, and you have his email because he emails everybody who's registered. That's the person to ask. I would not know. I would ask Alex. He would be the person to ask. Blue Grit Garage says, is everyone doing okay after the storm? A tornado ripped through the city of St. Louis. It's a mess. Oh, boy. Yeah, you can tell our crowd's down a little bit tonight. There's probably a lot of people, running generators and chainsaws and stuff right now. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad to help. It's just not something I know. That's an Alex question. But yeah, I know Big James is making good use of that program. Hot Rod Guy Garage Russell says, hey, everyone, late to the party. Glad you're here. Glad you're here. A lot of people, I think, are cleaning up storm damage. We just got rain. We got the only thing that had happened is I had a plant on the front porch blow over on its side, and I set it back up. That's 100% of what I had to do for the storm. So I'm very fortunate. Dust Devil Garage says that tornado went right over my shop, but everything's okay though. Man, glad for that. Yeah, the storm was just past him there. Russ Before Hole says we're waiting for it to move through Radcliffe, Kentucky. Indirect Connection Jason is here. Howdy, sir. Rabbit Transit Jay said we had wicked storms and tornadoes in Wisconsin last night. Luckily, we only got a little hail at my house. Yeah, I heard there was some hail at the bank. The ladies at the bank said that they had hail, but I never saw any. So, couldn't have been much for hail. Yes, glad you're good, Brian. That could be really nasty. We don't get tornadoes here. We're not in the mountains. We've got some pretty nasty storms, but we don't get tornadoes. And I didn't see anything down in the backyard. I figured I would get it worse than ever because I just cleaned all of that up all the way down the fence line. I raked and I took 10-foot trailer loads of just branches and pine needles and old leaves and all that out of there. 10-foot trailers, a lot. Probably each one of those was, I would guess, they're not that heavy, but I would guess probably average about 600-700 pounds a piece, call 650. So let's say that I took over 3 tons of brush and debris out of the fence line on a half-acre lot. Is a lot of work, but it sure does look a lot better. And I wanted to do it before everything greened up, so I was out there thrashing, getting it done in March. Heavens Mopar says, all we have to worry about in Spokane are the fires each year. Yeah, West Coast has completely different concerns. Bad Tree Blake says it's been gusting from 20 to 70 for 2 days, and the sky looks weird from all the cornfield dust. Oh, I can imagine. Yeah, that sounds, yeah. Cornfield. We don't have cornfields here. We have, there, you see them occasionally, but nothing like what they have in Iowa. Wrong English says, we do tornadoes here in Pennsylvania. Don and I activated for the National Guard for security cleanup, during the cleanup. That was in 85. Yeah. Yeah, we don't, when there's a little twister here, like a little tiny one, like I heard there was one a few years ago in Springville, Virginia, people said you could see it, and it was nothing. I mean, it looked like one of those Bugles chips from the 80s. It wasn't a real tornado. No damage or anything, but people saw some little nothing thing in the sky. We just don't have that here. Heavens Mopar says, I just burned up all my dead branches while it's still green. I wish I could do that here, but I can't. I'm too close to the highway, and people will see it, and they will call in. And it's something else. Wrong English says we were there to keep the spectators out. Yeah, I can see that. Main Street Mopar, by the way, surged into first place in the No Name 500. Rusty Four Holes passed everybody and got his 500. Main Street Mopar is running first place. And last I looked, he was about 377. So just saying, he's running first. So Walter at Blue Grit Garage has sent me a picture of what's going on. This is, oh my goodness, look at the damage to that one house. So there was some heavy damage in the St. Louis area. Look at that. Look at the second story off that house. A lot of damage to dormer on that other one. My goodness. What a mess. And then he sent me this as well. That's a tree that's fallen and collected whatever that is. I mean, obviously it could be worse, but still, that's not good what you got there. I wouldn't say he's killing it. He's in the lead. He's still got, over 100 to go. He can do it. Bad Tree Blake says Gulf of America plus the Rocky Mountains equals twisters. British and other can't fathom our weather. British can't fathom much. So here's something from Dust Devil Brian, a big old tree down near where he is. My goodness, look at those roots. That is going to be one miserable tree to cut up and get out of there. Tornadoes are no joke for sure. Yes, they're serious, and I'm glad we don't have them here. One-eyed cat says, that's why I'm glad I have no trees. I got a bunch of trees, big ones. And the scary ones I have are at my property in Bluefield. Colleen says that according to Ryan Hall, the tornado could have been a lot worse. Yes, could have been. I'm just always glad it wasn't any worse than it was in these type of things. 4 fatalities. Yeah, that's a shame. Heavens Mopar says, I still wonder how insurance companies make any money with all the chaos Mother Nature creates by denying as many claims as they can. Of course they do. Unfinished Projects is Battle of the Bands in Hershey tomorrow. Cool. Have fun. Danny Boyd says, I've only got a few trees within striking range of my house. I had a big tree take out a window on not this house, but another one. Just put that window in. That window was over $900. Tree took it out. Big old limb. Did a little bit of roof damage too. Fixed the roof. Oh, knocked the meter box mast completely off the side of the house. I figured doing it myself, I've got about $3,000 worth of damage from that. Insurance companies are in the business of collecting premiums and denying claims and making money on the pool of money they have. Bad Tree Blake is sliding out. Says, have an excellent weekend. You too, buddy. Be safe. Unfinished Project can't go, but has to have him at school. Oh, come on. They should let you go. Danny Boyd says, the insurance industry is the only entity with the courage to blame God for that stuff. Well, it happens. They don't make it happen. They just like to deny the claim. One-eyed cat says, my chain link fence got blown over a few times over the years. It's getting a little tired. Needs 3 or 4 new posts. Yeah, Danny Boy, they actually call those things an act of God, literally, in a lot of contracts, including probably the contract you signed for insurance. They literally call it that. That's a real estate term. Yeah, crazy early. I'm glad I don't have any appointments crazy early tomorrow, but I still have plenty to do. This calendar's starting to run pretty quick. 124 days, 2 hours, and 35 minutes. It's not letting up. Walmart's warranty on tires does not cover man-made objects. What kind of flat do you get that's not? I mean, that's kind of a ridiculous warranty now, isn't it? Danny Boyd says, till you get to a church house of worship, you ain't going to hear any preacher blaming God, no matter how obviously guilty God is. Well, I just know that in real estate, there is a term called act of God. Like for instance, one of the things we have to know is if a tree falls from one yard into another yard, whose fault is that and that kind of thing. And there's a whole set of rules that govern that. Yeah, Hot Rod Guy Garage Russell says our brains synced up for a second, and I hit send when he said it. Yeah, wood or a rock. How often is it wood or a rock? My dad ran over a pair of pliers one time and had the handle of the pliers go up through the tread. That was a wild flat. And you know what? I took the pliers out. Unfortunately, it broke the pliers when it drove over it a few times. I took the pliers out. They were needle nose. The handle end is what went through the tread. I dressed the inside with a rasp really good because it kind of bent up some belts on the inside. And I cut away some. I mean, I had to grind away because it's a big. I mean, it's a big triangular hole. Looked like a bayonet made it. I did all that. I put a plug patch through it, and you know that thing never leaked again. I don't know how many miles he drove it like that. Never leaked any air. It never broke any more belts in it either. Couldn't believe it. Fixed it like it never happened. Evans Mopars says, when I T-boned a car who cut across the highway, their insurance company denied them being covered by 1 minute because they lapsed on paying it that month. They valued my Dodge Dynasty at $700. See, I hate stuff like that. I really hate stuff like that. $700 and you're out of a great car you cannot replace for that. It's just so wrong. But what do you want to do? I've never really liked where they'll repaint a car and they repaint all the panels that are affected and not the ones that aren't. And so now you got a mismatched paint job even when they fix it. Can't win that either. Wrong English said the cat had a front brake pad retainer on a Ranger fall out and bounce perfect to pierce the rear tire. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that would happen to me right there. I have fixed some nasty punctures in tires with plug patches, and they don't make as good a ones as they used to. My favorite plug patch, I mean the one that could fix virtually anything, was the one that Napa used to sell, the old ball camp plug patches. They were perfect. And now they put this metal sleeve over them that allegedly I think is designed to help them go into the tire, but I hate it because it makes it harder to get in with the rubber cement. See, I like the old ones that didn't have that. And then I would loop the wire around my pliers and pull from the inside and push from the outside to seat that thing. You can't even stop with it, or the rubber cement will set up and you can't even get it the rest of the way. You got to really ram it home. And when you get it in like that, then work it from the inside to the outside, let it dry good. That thing will last forever. But you can't get them anymore. And they used to be cheap. They weren't even $1 a piece. Now they're like 3 times the money, and the quality's nowhere near as good. Hot Rod Guy Garage says, never take the insurance value the first, second, or third time. Danny Boy says, I figure if you can afford not to settle, then just let that lowballing insurance company twist in the wind. They get rated or graded for their speed of claims processing. I can see that. Russ Before Hole says, the neighbor's tree fell in my garage and did $19,000 damage back when Helene came through. Never had a claim in 27 years and they canceled me. I was waiting for the act of God speech. Yeah, I've never had a claim with State Farm. I've been insured by them for over 30 years. And I don't, it's not like I'm sitting here relaxed about what they would ever do if I had a claim. Colleen says, when I got rear-ended, the adjuster noted that my van was dirty. If I was going to sell it, do you not think I would have cleaned it? Who knows? Neighbor's tree fell in the garage and $19,000 damage. Never had a claim in 27 years. They canceled me. Yeah, that's very much like an insurance company. LP 94 in the house. Lars is here. Blue Grit Walter says, seems like that with a lot of things. If it works, it's cheap. That's unacceptable to them. They're in the business of collecting premiums and denying claims. That's what they're really good at doing. I carry homeowners insurance. I carry auto insurance. I carry E&O insurance. I carry firearms instructor liability insurance. I mean, you know, I'm glad I've never had a claim, but when I think about how much I pay for all this, used to have a policy on a rental policy when I was renting my office space. Don't have to do that anymore. It's just, you know, I have definitely paid an enormous pile of money to insurance companies over the years. Hot Rod Guy Garage says, gets depressing thinking of all the wasted money. Well, I mean, you know, I'm just glad I've never had to have the claim. How about that? I mean, so I look at it that way. But man, if I think about the amount of money that I have paid, you know, Lockton, State Farm, Pearl, think of these companies, and I think how long I've been paying that, going back to 1993. And if I would have stuck all that in a mutual fund, I don't even want to know. I don't want to have any idea how much money that'd be today. Oh, yeah, then you could do the umbrella policy too. Yeah. Kind of in the back of my mind is too, is people who carry so much insurance become a target just for that. Rabbit Transit Garage says, we had a collection jar at the Chrysler dealer I worked at of items found in tires. Wouldn't believe it was in there. Yeah, I don't know. I might. Colleen says, we didn't have renter's insurance when we had the house fire in 2022. Lesson learned. Depends on the mutual fund, I reckon. Well, Dan, if you have a savings account, think of how much money it is. Forget the compounding of interest. Yeah, it'd be a fortune, but even an underperforming fund would still be a fortune. 32 years of paying into that? Yeah, it would. If you knew you weren't going to have a wreck for 32 years, forget the insurance. Put it in that, and you'd be self-insured with the amount of money at the end. Anyway. What is it they say on other live streams? This is not financial advice. Mexican Spec is in the house. Hello, sir. Glad you're here. Mexican Spec says, I haven't decided if I like the orange Doritos. The jury is still out. Okay. Blue Grit says, I saw a chicken bone in one of those jars. I think that was some kind of joke. You never know. I just hope it wasn't still attached to chicken when it happened. Danny Boyd says, I had other money to put in mutual funds and still didn't. Doritos, yeah. I you know, we Americans are not so sophisticated, but yeah. Danny Boyd likes the mandarin orange, but lime is his favorite. Okay, never heard of them, obviously. Evans Mopar says, my friend had his inherited house burned down, chimney fire from a renter. Yeah. Didn't have insurance. Oh, yikes. Mohawk said, the silliest thing I found in a tire, 3 inches of a number 2 lead pencil. Went right through a steel belted radio. I guess if it hits just right, so that it can go through without splintering. Yeah, I could see that. That's pretty wild, though. Could probably run over that 1,000 times and only have it happen once. But hey, that was why you saw it, right? Hot Rod Guy Garage is, I believe, the chicken bone. I've seen hair weaves and wigs wrapped around suspension parts, axles, and drive shafts over here. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. Justin Hill says hi. Hello, sir. Danny Boy says, I blocked off my fireplace. It was a gas fireplace anyway, disconnected now. Yeah, I just recently took the plumbing for a fireplace out of my rental. Took it out, did a new roof. I'm like, you know what? Now's the time. Out it went. We've had 3 countries represented and 3 or 4 countries represented tonight, and Idaho. I'd say we had another country if we had California here, but I don't know that we did. Although we did have Massachusetts. Yeah, blocked it off so they can't burn wood or paper. Yeah, I don't want tenants burning anything in my place. Blue Grit says, if John Wick can kill a man with a pencil, I can see it going in a tire. I can. It would be hard to. It's like I said, you can run over 1,000 times, and probably only once would it make it in the tire, but still, it could happen. I can believe that easily. Oh my gosh. I can read that one. Mexican spec burns in the backyard. Yeah, I can't. I'll have people calling from the highway. Wish I could, though. I'd love to have a burn barrel out there. Lars puts up the link for Main Street Mopar, No Name 500 contender. He is in the lead. I believe he's around 377 subs. And this is it. This is his year. He's going to do it or not, but I hope he does it. I know he can. Wrong English has a 4 a.m. alarm. He's calling tonight. See you, Wrong. Thanks for joining us. J-Bo said we got a $1,600 kickback from our insurance company. They listed our property as being 90 miles from a fire department. 90 miles from a fire department? See, we're actually 1 block from the local fire department and 60 miles from the city of Dubuque. I know you're a lot closer than that to a fire department. Heavens Mopar says, fire extinguishers in the car and garage, cheap insurance on top of regular insurance. Yes, I have 10-pound and 20-pound and 2.5-pound Amerex fire extinguishers everywhere, and they are really good to have on hand. I was having a conversation with Lars about that yesterday. You want to get the biggest fire extinguisher you can have that the smallest person in your house can still use. So if you've got children who could use the fire extinguisher, you might want to consider getting a little smaller fire extinguisher. I had 10-pounders so that my folks could use them for places where only I am, like in the garage, my shop. I have 20-pounder. And then the car is a 2.5-pound, because a 2.5-pound that's always in there is better than a 10-pound that's only in there occasionally. Mexican Spec is preparing to take the Black Dart north on Monday morning. Cool. Sounds great. How's the Jeep? The Jeep is great. The Jeep is great. 90-mile round trip, uneventful. I had pictures in here earlier from the Jeep show. So if you want to check it out, you can. Very popular, though. I can make a case it was one of the most, if not the most popular vehicle there. And it's probably because those people, in Jeep clubs see each other all the time, and this was just out of the blue. So it was different, and they hadn't seen it before, but it could have been the most popular Jeep there. Jay said, one thing I remember is a 3/4-inch boxed-in wrench, and drove like that for a while. What, in a tire? Needle nose pliers is probably my favorite, and Dad did that. That was in Blacksburg. He said he ran over a pair of pliers. I said, okay. Then he said, yeah, I need you to come bring, I think he said, bring a spare or something. I don't remember what he told me, but whatever. I thought that was funny when I saw it. Couldn't believe I actually fixed that wheel, though. Blue Grit Garage says, hey, Mean Street, if you have a dog, do some shorts. Anna gets way more subs with her dog shorts I can get with automotive content. Dogs and cars could work. I don't get as many subs with Jethro shorts, but then again, I just do them because it's just something fun to put up. But, you know, my YouTube channel is about fun and community. And so that's the deal. My best short was drilling a hole in the van windshield to do a repair on it. And Indirect Connections asking if Anna has her own channel or if that's on Blue Grit Garage. I believe Blue Grit Garage is where she posts her content. Well, Danny Boyd says, Mexican Spec, I wish I had a garage shop. Well, wish in one hand. You know the rest. Walter confirms that Anna and he share Blue Grit Garage. Wrong, who claimed he was going to bed but instead sticking around, says thin rubber for the pencil to pierce it. I've seen a decent piece of gravel flatten a tire. Gosh. Indirect Connection says, I've never seen a short on Blue Grit Garage. Walter says Anna actually started Blue Grit Garage. Well, I kind of want to know. It's an interesting thing from Jason there. So I've got Blue Grit Garage here. 887 subs, and he's got a whole bunch of shorts. You got a bunch, Jason. Tons of them. Yeah, Walter says there's almost as many shorts as videos. He's got a bunch. See you, Wrong. You have a great evening, man. Thanks for coming by. JB says, been gone for a bit, slowly getting back to it. Glad you're here. Thanks for coming by, JB. It's always good to see you. Indirect Connections says, I'll have to go on the channel and start watching shorts so YouTube changes their algorithm for me. Maybe. Yeah, they have good content over there. I like what they're doing. Brazil Outdoors says, that wrong English jumps in between. I'm out, guys. Not feeling great. Gonna hit the hay early. Hey, man, thank you for coming by, Mr. Frizzell. I appreciate you coming by, as always. Three-quarter-inch boxing or inch in a tire. That is awesome. That is really great. You know what? I had to patch on a trailer. Trailer tires, they're only a few years old, and it had air just seeping through the tread in 3 places. No punctures. Air just seeping through the tread. I said, well, I don't have any confidence in this at all. So I put tubes in them. Mohawk said they won't let me anywhere near Al Gore because of my last name. Yeah, I can see that. Secret Service would keep you at arm's length for sure. Yeah, I never thought about that, but that is true. Sounds like a stroke of luck. Yeah, maybe. My uncle had to deal with Al Gore when I think he was in the Tennessee State House and didn't like him then. Didn't like him when he was vice president. Didn't like him when he was running for president. His opinion never changed the whole time. Mexican Spec says, I've been trying to get 15-inch tubes for my Buick, but they don't sell them in Mexico. Really? Hmm. Interesting. I had no problem getting 15-inch tubes for these trailer tires. Takes like a whatever that is, like an SR 15 or something. Fit great. I didn't film it. I could have. I wasn't expecting to have to do it. Had to find where I did that. That was a real mess. Well, I just did this mock-up on the spare tire for the Jeep. That's actually a spare tire that'll fit the van. It's a Dodge wheel, but it'll fit the Jeep. And I just put that on there to have it. Send Mexican Spec some. He can find 15-inch tubes down there per trailer, at least anyway. I need to find where I did those tubes. It actually was pretty uneventful. Went in really well, actually. Yeah, I don't know. I take so many pictures I can't even find them. But I put them in. They wasn't bad at all. I thought it was a lot easier putting them in a like a ride mower. It seemed like there was so much more room to work. The tubes are awesome for floating in the water. Yeah, I generally like tubeless, but in that application, I had no confidence. Shabo's not a fan of Gore, but I have to respect his call on man, bear, pig. I'm not familiar with that. Seems like I've heard that, but I don't know what I only think about it. Looks brand new except for the outer edge being warded to the cords. Yes. Yeah, if you sent Mexican Spec some tubes, they'd be dry rotted before they got to look. No kidding. No kidding. Blue Grit was looking at Frizzell's covered bridge or whatever that is in his thumbnail. Covered bridges were made so the wood driving across would last longer. Didn't know that. We have covered bridges over here in Giles County. There's one I drive by occasionally over there. We do have a few around here. You see more of them up north where the weather's worse and they get more snow. Of course, all of them here are older when we had more severe winters here. I mean, I was born in the blizzard and we don't get that much snow anymore. Street Fox is in the house. Street Fox Mike. Howdy. Thanks for stopping by. I think I might go to the Gear Jammers race at Elk Creek, not tomorrow, but the next Saturday. So if you're thinking about going out, I may see you over there. Thinking about it anyway. Not going to try to take the Jeep that far, but now, Street Fox, there's a guy that knows how to build a channel and get subscribers and shorts. There's a guy right there that can do it. Laura says there's an 88% chance if a bridge is covered that there's a troll hanging out underneath it. Perhaps. So you're saying YouTube is a covered bridge? Yeah, that's Lars. Especially if that bridge is in New Bedford. Yeah, Lars says indeed. Clearly he thinks that YouTube does resemble a covered bridge. Levi, we have troll seating there. But no, I don't want to go out of my way to invite people there just to be problem people. I'm really glad they don't show up. Blue Grit says, according to Al Gore, we're supposed to be in an ice age now. Well, it goes in cycles. Have been before, will be again. We just happen to live in a really nice place and time. And he made a lot of money peddling that too. He was more successful at that than he ever was as vice president, I can tell you that. Mexican Spec said Leonard Nimoy told us that too on his show. Well, it's an understatement to say he was a space cadet. He literally played one. Oh, so leave it to Lars to make a Bridges of Madison County joke. Lars is too young for that. That movie, I think, is older than Lars. Or it's close. I think Lars might be a little bit older. Now I want to look. Okay, it's Bridges of Madison County came out the year after Lars was born, so technically he is older. Dougster Wolverine Garage slides in with 7 minutes to go. Howdy, sir. Dougster must be on the upper card because he gets here to end the show, playing his entrance music at that. Mohawk says there's a house down the road from JB that has a covered bridge as part of their driveway. Thunder Ranch, where Clinton Heidi Smith live, have a covered bridge that is part of their driveway. Blue Grit Garage is asking Danny Boyd what song he's quoting. It's on the tip of his tongue. You know, it's funny you say that. Every Friday at 5:30 Eastern, it will be 4:30 Central, of course, there's a channel, Mad Mardigan's Music Trivia. They put out this Jeopardy-style music quiz where you have to name it based on the category. There's 25 of them. I enjoy playing. I play that every week before the live. It's just fun to do. And I did good this week. I got, I think, 17 or 18 this week out of 25. 17 out of 25. I hold myself to a pretty strict standard on getting the title right. But it's fun. I enjoy it. So Street Fox says, I'd definitely like to go to Gear Jammers at Elk Creek if I don't go to North Carolina next weekend. Well, that's what I'm thinking of doing. I'm thinking about doing that for Saturday the 20, what is that, the 24th? Yeah. So it's on the schedule. So I'll see. I don't know. We'll see. Haven't been to a Gear Jammers race in quite a while. Well, it's been kind of a calm Friday. All these storms drove everybody Drove everybody doing something different tonight. I got some fun things coming up. Going to have a little bit different kind of live streams coming up here real soon. Didn't want to do our tech live with Deke too early this year because I feel like the earlier ones aren't nearly as effective with the tech. So we're going to be doing that later in the season. But I am planning on having Deke on for a biographical style live here very soon. Just Mopar Joe will be on for one a little bit later in the summer. So be looking for those. Those are going to be a lot of fun. Good stuff. A little bit different change of pace from what we normally do on Fridays like this. Be on the lookout for that. Danny Boyd says, the song title is eluding me, but Led Zeppelin Houses of the Holy is the host album. No, I did not. You'll get a chance to ask Deke yourself. I'm going to send him that. I need to talk with Deke. I'm going to send him that. About this steering wheel. Brian, can I show that? You want me to put that up on the screen now? Okay, so this is the steering wheel Brian's put in his Duster. We'll let you guys enjoy that. And you guys have forgotten how bad my phone screen protector looked. You can see now that it's new, right? Just did that this week. Is that chain link? Why, yes. Yes, it is. We're going to ask Tech what he thinks about it. We're talking about that soon. We're going to talk about some more No Name Nationals class-oriented stuff very soon. Danny Boyd says, need a smaller one so you can drive with handcuffs on. Mexican Spec says, I thought only Mexican Americans used those. Okay. I thought only Brian Brinker did. Brian says, the longer I leave it there, the more I want to keep it there. I understand that. Oh, Street Fox 50 says it's cool. Does that get the endorsement like Steve Mignante saying your car was cool? Blue Brick Garage says he needs to get one of those chrome foot gas pedals to match. What do you think, Brian? He's kind of right. He's got a point there. You need the chrome foot gas pedal too. Mexican Specs, as I clarify, because they don't use them here. Okay. Mohawk says, I think those are illegal on the street, question mark. Oh, I don't know. Oh, and I have a hood too. You can check that out on his channel. Buffdale Campo says, back in high school, a friend built a bicycle frame out of chain. Yikes. Well, we have just a little bit of time to go here. I thank all of y'all for coming out tonight. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your weekend. And do remember to catch Wednesday Night Tech Talk Live on the AHRA channel. We'll be back here Friday night. Who knows? We may even stream a little bit from Gear Jammers at Elk Creek if we do that on Saturday. But as for now, thank you guys. If you have yet to register for the 4th annual AHRA No Name Nationals, you can do so there. Lars put up the direct link where nonamenationals.com redirects. And with that, you guys have a great weekend, and we are out.